Hello, everyone. So today we are starting our Redux fundamentals, and we will cover some of the advanced topic which we use in Redux. So I have already shared Redux Toolkit. What is Redux Toolkit, and what are the advantages we are getting from Redux Toolkit in my previous sessions. You can refer the link into the description of this video, and also I'll show you the link into the video over here on the in the screen. So uh, Redux Toolkit is with us with many more features, not only connected to Redux and state management, but also making asynchronous calls. So let me explain you in a very simplistic way. What do you mean by Redux Toolkit queries? So Redux Toolkit queries, they are basically created again to give users or developers community to use and simplified the boilerplate code and to have best practices in place and specifically to handle asynchronous logic. So um, this is what Redux Toolkit is, right? So Redux Toolkit query is connected to the same, but uh, like it will say, I would definitely say that whatever features that you're getting out of the box in Redux Toolkit will all be there in your Redux Toolkit queries. But the purpose of Redux Toolkit queries is to write logic for your asynchronous APIs. So, what does it means? Like whenever we talk about Redux Toolkit query overview, so we always make sure that whatever data fetching uh, API calls that we are writing in, how that API call is happening, what optimizations we can do out of the box. So, for example, let's say you make an API call from a page, from a component page, right? Um, then when you make an API call, then you have to do lot of things out of the box. I mean, a lot of things manually. For example, are we making sure that API, we are not making redundant API calls, for example, so the data which is already there, and we are just, the moment the component is rendering, we are making the API call again and again, though the data is not changing, though um, the parameters of the queries are not changing. If that is the case, can we use some optimization there? Similarly, how we are kind of maintaining the synchronization of the state with the client, uh, caching is possible or not, and there are many more. Okay, so Redux Toolkit is in place with this advanced features, which is called Redux Toolkit Query. Uh, which builds Redux Toolkit to handle server state. For example, it can do a lot of things out of the box. So let me tell you one by one what it can do. So Redux Toolkit query features, first is data fetching. Okay. So data fetching, which it fetches data from API using queries. Guys, I just want to highlight, like, this is what I'm sharing you in terms of some slides, some high level overview. Next session will be totally the real code that we will see, um, and we will see the demonstration of the code, how this Redux Toolkit query is making an impact, right? So that is how you can understand, that is how you will understand the real usage, the real, when you see those things in real in the browser networks tab, then you will understand more. So I'll share that session after this. So yeah, mutation handling is sends data to API via mutations. For example, these are mutations like post, put, delete, um, and caching is the next, where we talk about caching the API responses, uh, where we can optimize the page rendering faster. And then automatic refetching. Refetching is something when you think that the data, when relevant queries become invalidated. So that's how the refetching logic can work. So when the data is irrelevant or invalidated, then you must get your data again, fresh data from the API. So that is also taken care out of the box when you're using RTK query. Optimistic updates. So updates to the UI immediately, even before a server response. Pagination and streaming is also coming out of the box. Then you can have customizable fetching logic, which supports headers, query parameters, and many more other things. So yeah, these are the all features that we are getting out of the box. I understand this, like probably these things will look on a very high level confusing, but you will see all those in real when we do this exercise. I mean, we see the real code in live. Okay, so how RTK query works? So this is a very simple. You see here import. So for example, what you do, so create API, one of the utility as part of your Redux Toolkit query, is what you will use. Just like you use create slice. Okay, when you were playing around with creating slice, having reducers and extra reducers in place, for Redux Toolkit, Create Slice, and all that, you can refer my previous videos. Those are also in the playlist Redux. I'll put you the description down below into the comment section for those if you are interested. Okay, so Create API is one utility you can use. And again, this is a very simple format, simple syntax. So you use Create API, you pass whatever is needed in the Create API, and then everything is done out of the box. So you just pass reducer path, then what will be your base query, then endpoints, and then the name, for example, get post is something that you can use. So this is the common I would say structure which you can generalize, you can use always, you can make your own, but some of the things will get changed. For example, instead of slash post you can have some other API call, then get post can be another meaningful name of your API, and things like that, right? And then at the end what you are doing, you're just exporting use get post query is equals to API. So this will be something that you will use in your component. So let's go and check how we will use this use get post query in component and get the real data. So you see here use get post query is used, and we are getting what? We are getting data is loading. So you see we have not created anything here like loading is loading or anything like that. But when you are doing this use guest post query, it is giving you all sort of things out of the box, right? So is loading is already created for us. So it is all done within Create API. We do not need to worry about that. So again, much more relaxed to the developers who are using Redux and using Redux Toolkit in order to have the data asynchronous and asynchronous logic. So I think that's pretty much clear. You get this data like this, use guest post query, and then this is where you just post the data using a simple map and then rendering the HTML LIs. All right. So example of mutation, you see here again we're using Create API. We have fetch base query. Now you see here builder, right? So now this is the a post call, and look at the way we are doing this post call. Builder.mutation. So this is the very best example of mutation, right? So we are saying add post and then builder.mutation, and in the query you see new post and then the post, and we're sending the body new post object inside the body attribute. So this is a very common example for the mutation. Anytime when you do any mutation, you just follow this syntax, just change basis your need, the API name, the method name that you want to use. And for example, if you want to change this name, meeting your requirement. Okay, so again, the usage of this mutation, you see here, it's again same. You just use this, and we have add post which is coming out of the box. So you see here add post is coming out of the box, and now you can just do this await add post, and then you can pass your object like that. And it is very simple, right? So you have handle submit form the moment it is clicked, and then you are doing this like passing whatever is needed. So if you need to get it from the form, this form is very simplified, but let's say you have input and so many input fields here, so then you can get the values from event and then get it done. So yeah, that's pretty much all when it comes to RTK query mutations and how we do get and post call. I think it's pretty much clear. Always remember this syntax, which is very important and basic to understand. Okay, so this is for mutation. This is for getting the data. So get and post are clear. Um, Again, as I said, don't worry. I will show you in the real live code, how you see in action all those things using VS Code and some of the tips that I'll give you at that time. So do not forgot to watch my or wait for my another video which is coming after this. All right, what benefits we are getting out of the box? I think I already explained you, but let me take it one more time. RTK queries, they work seamlessly with Redux state management. So this is one of the benefit. We do not need to, okay, worry about, hey, we need to change a lot in the code and things like that. No, it's not like that. Reduced boilerplate code, of course, fetching and caching logic. Okay, this caching is something which I will again, as I said, I will show you in different one video which will be totally for caching, how we can use caching out of the box when we're using RTK query. Yes, caching, very important. And I would say this will change the Redux world and communities when we use the caching out of the box from RTK queries. All right. So coming to the next part, which is called automatic optimization. This is really one of the important thing because when you do I would say caching, you are optimizing re-rendering of the pages, efficient data fetching and all that. So it's coming directly, indirectly when you are doing this caching, okay? Declarative API. So you have seen the syntax, right? We have mutations, we have get, post, all we have seen. So we are kind of writing the code in a more declarative way, okay? So this is why this is very easy to write. All right. So when to use RTK query? When to use? It's like when you need state management and server data synchronization in the same application. So it's the case when you should go for RTK queries. When your application deals with frequent API, so whenever you think, okay, my application needs a lot of API interactions, well, a lot of APIs, and let's say your APIs are called, redundantly in different pages. So let's say you have a very basic generic component, let's say a panel, right? And the data in the panel is, let's say, fetched from one API, and that panel is used in many screens. So just imagine, um, when you see the network tab, the moment you go to any page, you see the API calls triggered again and again. So we can also trade off this, like we can understand, do we really need that API call in the network tab, or we can just do the caching. So this is very important. So we can play around with this. When you want simplified and optimized data fetching with caching is something which is very good RTK query with. Okay, so this is uh, this is pretty much all when it comes to RTK queries. So next I will, as I said, RTK queries real code live code session walkthrough. I'll show you how to do this RTK queries in one videos in real, and then I will cover one more session where I will demonstrate the caching in RTK queries. So thank you guys for your time and watching the videos. I will make sure that I have my another sessions coming soon. See you then.